everyone, this is Nadia, award-winning author, award-winning mentor, class sentient psychic, and founder at Spartanite. Today's round we are going to be covering Clauneck and what does the I can't afford it mentality actually mean. Now this is a topic that I see lots of people, including myself, we've all gone through this topic, and when we look at something that we perceive is outside our budget or what we think we have, our default response, it's sort of like a programming that people have been embedded with since birth. And I won't be covering all the history of it, but I really want to focus on the I can't afford it mentality and what King Clauneck usually tells me about how to overcome this mentality and how to be successful at what it is you actually want. Now, it comes as no surprise from an occultist-based perspective, and also for those who don't practice the occult, but their entrepreneurial nature, that money can always be manifested and money can always be brought in for what we truly want. The money is the match to the desire, essentially. So when we are busy saying, or when I've usually spoken to Clauneck, who is a spirit of wealth, value, merchant finance, mainly value more than anything, because if in life you can't spot value with things, it's going to be very difficult for you to be able to see something that is of value, so to speak, and not of value, and you'll probably end up crossing them around as well. Now, I can't afford it usually does not mean that somebody cannot afford it, or they don't have the money for it, or they may not have available cash. Now, say for instance, I was drinking this earlier on, it's a juice basically, and say for instance the juice was £5, and somebody came into my shop and said that, I can't afford it. Well, I can't afford it is a terminology used when something is not a priority for us. I speak with experience. I know a lot of other people who have overcome their financial perspectives speak with experience. Some of us literally hit the bottom and then we literally dig our way out of it without going down the easy road, because it's more like a challenge to overcome it. I can't afford it. When I ask King Clauneck what it usually and often means, it means number one, it's not a priority. Number two, it's nice, but I don't really see the value in it, so why should I pay so much for it? Oftentimes, money has never been the issue. Someone's rates have never been the issue. What someone's charging is never the issue. It's perhaps somebody does not see that as valuable. Now, that's not to say that the juice is not valuable, or whatever it is you want to buy is not valuable. You might just think, well, it's like way overpriced, like I don't know why they're charging so much. You don't see it as valuable. Now, Clauneck usually stresses that if you don't see something as valuable, it won't be a priority for you. In life, a lot of people are financial misfits simply because their finances are all over the place. They can't control their spending, they can't control their emotions, they put money towards the wrong things instead of prioritizing to grow as a person. This is not by mistake. The system is not broken as many naive and ignorant people would think it is. The system is working just perfectly. Wealth inequality is also equality. Somebody can disagree, somebody can agree, depending on a mentality of consumerism, capitalism, socialism, corporatism. I won't get into all the isms today because I frankly don't care about them. But what Clauneck has often stressed is if something is truly a priority for us, we come up with the money. If there's something is truly urgent, we come up with the money. Years ago, I had some legal issues in my first business that I needed to take care of. I truly didn't have the money. They were asking for fees of thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands. I didn't have the money. When I say I don't have the money, I was very honest that I was literally broke. I didn't have anything, but I found a way to arrange for it. It was difficult, it was hard, but I found it. Why? Because I didn't have a way out, because it was a priority, and because I just did not want my name on that, document or that title anymore. I needed to find a way out. It's very easy for a lot of people to accept defeat. In society, defeat is lauded. Like, you're always supposed to be very compassionate to somebody who accepts excuses or gives excuses for why they can't do something. Look, I am huge on compassion and I'm huge on empathy. But over the time, Clauneck always taught me not to have sympathy for people, because when we have sympathy for another person, we see them as less and below us, we feel sorry for them, and we rob them of a chance to truly have them stand up in their power and be who they need to be, so to speak. It's very tempting to keep saying something's expensive. It's very tempting to say, I can't afford it. And the more you say that something is expensive and you can't afford it and it's not for you, the more you create a chasm between you and what it is you truly want. And then it becomes so monumentally like you're here and your goal is here and you just cannot seem to merge those goals, because in your mind you feel like you need to do everything at one go. Now, it comes as no surprise that for everybody that works with Clauneck, his astrological zodiac placement is Virgo. So he's obviously ruled by Mercury, and also all Geminis watching this is ruled by Mercury as well. Mercury is a very, very quick and fast energy. Now, the only difference with it being in Virgo as opposed to Gemini is Gemini is a bit skittish with the Mercury energy. It's all over the place. Their mind's running 120 miles an hour. Whereas by the time it graduates and comes to an Earth sign, because remember, if you have Mercury that's hitting Gemini, it's very air. Gemini is the first sign of the air signs. And yeah, it drives people crazy. Like, I know my spirit guide, is a Gemini, my father's a Gemini, and I see Gemini energy, it's just batshit crazy. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Gemini energy, it just moves so quickly that sometimes there's no real foundations underneath it, because you're just living in your head with so many ideas. Now, I'm an Aquarius and I completely know what it feels like to live in your head, so there's no shade on anything Gemini. I'm saying it's just a point and an observation. By the time it actually graduates to Virgo, that Mercury energy has a lot of stability. It has a plan, it has a strategy. It's quite smart. It comes in, you can imagine Clauneck coming in with like the little sweater vest and, you know, angular rulers, and is ready with planning. Now, I should know that energy. I'm a Virgo moon and I love planning, I love organization, I love strategy. I don't just jump into things without trying to plan them through or methodically be very sure-footed about something. Now, what happens is when you look at something that is your goal and instantaneously the price is out of your budget, or it might be like, oh, you know, gosh, wow, I was only expecting it to be 200, but here it is, it's 900. What people do is immediately they back away. They don't try and approach someone and say, hey man, do you offer payment plans? Can we work this out? Nothing. They don't even want to ask anything. They're so intimidated, they just walk away. The issue, I was saying this to one of my mentoring clients, that this issue is not anything to do with you, especially if you're in business. The issue is to do with the individual. Basically, we live in a world of people that don't trust themselves, and henceforth, when you don't trust yourself, you make less than favourable decisions. I won't say wrong decisions or bad decisions, because even those decisions can be corrected. But you make less than favourable decisions, decisions that have knock-on effects and eventually can land you in hot soup. So, plan. That's what I usually say to people. If you want something, plan it in stages. It also gives you patience, it gives you tolerance, it gives you perseverance, and you can elegantly be able to get to that finish line without feeling you need this, you need this, you need this, you need this. Because I know that Clauneck has said to me that there's so many people. So say for instance, there's something worth 10,000 in any currency that somebody's watching that, just put it towards it, you know, pounds, dollars, euros, whatever you want to call it, or whatever you feel is equivalent in your currency of that. Now, you've looked at it, you really like it, but you're just like, oh, it's a bit much, you know, what do I do? Like I've said, people will back away because it wasn't a priority for them. So each time you catch yourself saying, I don't have the money for it, or I find this very expensive, or I can't afford it, which is like the quickest way to shut down your mentality, simply because it's like, ugh, I don't really want to deal with it, so, you know, fuck it, I'm just going to say I can't afford it because, well, I can't. Instead of saying I can't afford it, I would really implore everybody watching this to ask, well, how can I afford it? And how can I make this happen? And if there is somebody who maybe is a service provider or has done something, they're usually probably quite open to finding ways to get it done. Like for me personally, if I've always felt, wow, that's like way out of what I can normally afford, I will probably approach that person if I didn't know what their rates or whatever it is beforehand. I'd be like, look, how can we get a deal out of this? How can we move forward and say yes? Can I put a deposit down? Can I do this? I'm constantly trying to bargain my way into things, and not bargain by bargain. I don't mean reduce the price. I don't like disrespecting people and saying to them, oh, can you give me a discount? Can you give me a bargain? Unless something I see is already on sale or something. That's another problem that I want to cover, that people who love freebies and discounts a bit too much. Look, we all like the odd freebie or discount, but it's just, it gets way much. And that is something that I will cover in a subsequent video that is coming up. So when you say you can't afford it, you know, you have to ask yourself, what is it I'm really saying? And when Clauneck really talks to us about value, now for me, when I've worked with him, he's often said that to me. He's questioned my choices when I get to the till. Yeah, no pressure whatsoever. Do you really need this? Is this important? Is this necessary? I'm not saying you can't go out and have a nice time and treat yourself to nice things. People take this treating way too far. It's an entitlement game now, especially in Western society. Everybody feels like they need some sort of sticker or some sort of badge of entitlement. Like, oh, look at me, I'm so like precious and fragile, and you can't call me this, you can't do this. You know what? Get with the shits and get over it, man. Seriously. People are going to call you names, going to call you different things. Oh, they don't like this race, they don't like this gender, they don't like this. So what, man? Stop trying to get free passes from people all the time. People don't like you, just wrap it up and move on. So when it comes to an affordability thing, it's how much do you really want that thing? Because the desire is what brings the money. It's not anything else. The faith of saying, yeah, I truly want this, this is going to help me. Now I just need to find a way to be able to get what I have. If you have that money already, by all means do it. But this is a mentality block, and I actually covered it in a channeling, which I did, I think, maybe a few videos ago. And you guys can find it, and I will throw in the link below. It's called Clauneck and the Iron Ring Mentality of the Weak Wallet versus the Weak Mind. Now, realistically, we have all got weak minds to a degree, including myself. It's fortifying those shields and really saying, I won't take no for an answer if there's something that I truly want, and I know that it's going to help me get on the ladder to the next step, then why am I not doing it? What part of me wants to stay stuck and stay where I am because change is scary? So instead of lying to yourself and telling yourself you can't afford it or whatever it is, just be really honest and say to yourself that, look, I don't see the value in it. I'm not willing to work for it. I don't see this as a priority. And right now, I'm just choosing to remain where I'm at. I used to have a Chinese mentor who I met through happenstance. I thought he was a scam, only to find out he had made multi-millions from licensing, from business, from real estate. He had multiple companies. People were trying to ask him to sell things worth like tens of millions, and he just, some of the things he refused. I won't go into like his whole story because it's not about him, but I remember him often saying to me that, Nadia, if you're not trying to solve a problem, it's because you actually want that problem. With that said, ask yourself take your time and very methodically and also very intrinsically and really sit with yourself and say, if there is something that I'm not paying for and I want, well, do I really want it in the first place? When we sit with our emotions and we make priorities, you cannot have more than 2 priorities for a day, otherwise you simply don't have priorities. So if something is not a priority, don't waste your money on it. And if you see something that's important and when someone quotes your price and you back away, the only time you should be backing away is saying, I'll come back to you when I've got the money. This is how much I can put down. Show skin in the game. I know this because I had to do this when I had nothing. So this is not me just talking for the sake of nonsensical stuff. I still want to sit on YouTube and preach and look on my high horse to other people. I know what it's like to start with absolutely nothing. I'm talking zero. Like, even whatever I brought in from the job, whatever I did, it was never enough, and I needed to really dig. Mine was spiritual blockages. A lot of people who watch this channel will have spiritual blockages, but a lot of them can be mental as well. So is it really I can't afford it, or is it really I don't see the priority and it's not of value to me? Like, comment, share, subscribe. If you have any questions, you are free to throw it in the chat box below. Alternatively, you're also free to reach out to me personally on Twitter and Instagram, and also using our email at support@spartanite.com. Serious inquiries only, please. Thank you so much for watching. Take care and hope you have a good one. Bye.